guys? College football is finally back. In this video, we're going to be going over the top 10 games in week 1 of college football season, based on the competitiveness of each team as well as the spread of each game. And we're going to go over the top 10 rank from the lowest to the highest ranked game of the week. Starting at number 10 with the two group of 5 teams, South Alabama and Tulane. Tulane's a 7.5 point favorite. Both teams got to at least 10 wins last year. South Alabama finished 10-2 in the regular season. Tulane finished the American Conference champs at 12-2 over that win with USC in the Cotton Bowl. They come into this game ranked 24th in the preseason. As you see, guys, the power rated 46 and 90th, and strength of schedule is pretty low. But Tulane is a more than a touchdown favorite in this one. And as you see with the power rating difference, I got to take Tulane. I think they're going to win by more than 7 points, more than 1 touchdown. I think I'm going to take the Green Wave over South Alabama in this game. Number 9, a ACC matchup, Louisville against Georgia Tech. Louisville was 8-5 last year. Georgia Tech just finished under 500 and non-bowl eligible, and this is a huge difference in the power rating, but it's a pretty decent matchup for the week 1. The strength of schedule, Louisville is a lot easier than Georgia Tech is, but I think Louisville is going to cover this spread, more than a touchdown win, even though they're on the road, or this might be a neutral site game somewhere in Georgia, but I think Louisville, the Cardinals, are going to win this one, number 9 matchup of the week. Number 8, another decent game that has a decent spread. I think is going to be closer. Penn State, the number 7th ranked team preseason, comes in as a 20.5 point favorite over the Mountaineers of West Virginia. Penn State had an amazing year last year, 11-2. Only 2 losses were to 2 teams in the CFP playoff. And West Virginia finished 5-7, but that Big 12 was just everybody cannibalized each other, and they did not quite get the bowl eligibility. They helped to rebound this year. The preseason 45th power rating, which is actually pretty decent for a team that didn't even make it to 6 wins. But Penn State's number 5. Strength of schedule, Penn State is one of the lower in Division FBS. West Virginia plays one of the tougher ones in all FBS. And this is not going to be no exception. This is one of the toughest games of the season, if not the toughest game for West Virginia. I don't know about this one. I was debating back and forth. Although in the end, I do think Penn State will cover the 3 touchdown spread, and they start the season off 1-0. Number 7, a very dangerous game, week 1, Clemson versus Duke. Clemson, I do believe this game is on Monday. Clemson's a 13.5 point favorite on the road at Duke on this Labor Day weekend. Clemson was 11-3 last year. The Orange Bowl loss to Tennessee. Duke, 9-4. Only the 3rd 9-win season in Duke history in 83 years. One of the more quiet and one of the most quietest stories last year as well. I thought that would get a lot more attention, being that Duke has always been a basketball school, obviously, and never a football school. But they got to 9 wins. Like I said, only the 3rd time in 83 years as a football program. They come into this season still getting no respect. 65th in all the power ratings. Clemson's 8th, about even in strength of schedule. But I think this could be, if there was a upset pick of the week I had to pick, I think this would be it. Duke, I think they're either going to get crushed by 28 plus, or they're going to keep this within a touchdown. So in this one, I think I'm going to take Duke to cover the 13.5 points at home, week 1 against Clemson. Number 6, game that's basically a pick-em. Houston, -1.5 against UTSA. Both teams moving into new conferences. Houston moving from the American to the Big 12, and UTSA basically taking Houston's spot in the American from Conference USA. Both are pretty good teams. I mean, they're kind of average, but for a group of 5, well, I guess previously group of 5 Houston was, they're pretty good. UTSA's won the conference 2 years in a row now. They have a weaker strength of schedule, obviously. It's a little tougher than previous years in Conference USA, moving to the American, but I still think UTSA has the edge in this game. Because they have a returning 2-year starter at quarterback. His last name's Harris. I forget his first name, but he's pretty good. In Houston, I don't know if they have their quarterback returning or not, but I think UTSA's veteran starter will be the difference in this one. In the neutral site game, I think UTSA covers the 1.5 points, and they start off the season 1-0. Number 5, one of the more surprising close spreads of the week, Purdue against Fresno State. Purdue, obviously, they won the Big Ten West last year at 8, and they finished 8-6. They got destroyed by LSU in the bowl game, but literally everybody was sitting out or already gone. And they come back. They're preseason rated 38th in the power rating, and they have one of the stronger strength of schedules. But a 3.5 point spread against a Mountain West team. Yes, Fresno State did win the Mountain West last year, and they have one of the easiest overall strength of schedules in the country, as 115th, as you see. But I don't know. This one it's still mind blowing to me why this game and the spread is so close. I don't know. I don't know if I should feed into the hype and say, well, Fresno's going to cover, or if this is just an outlier and Purdue's easily going to cover. I mean, if I had to pick one, I would take Purdue winning by more than a field goal in this one. I don't know. It's going to be a total guess in this one, guys. I have no idea how this one's going to go. Number 4, another Big Ten teams, but no more Big Ten teams, but actual Big Ten matchup. I think it's one of only 2 conference games, along with Ohio State and Indiana in Week 1 in the conference. Minnesota is at home against Nebraska. They're a 7-point favorite. They finished 9-4 last year, another surprising 9-win team that came out of nowhere, really. And Nebraska 4-8. They have not made it to a bowl game. Nebraska has since Barack Obama was still president back in 2016. That's right. They're going on year 7 of not being bowl eligible and not going to a bowl game. And it's kind of crazy how long Nebraska has gone, especially playing in the much weaker Big Ten West division. You would think they get at least 3 division wins, and maybe some non-conference, but it just hasn't happened for Nebraska. Maybe this is the year with Matt Rule at head coach and the new system. And I don't know. Maybe this is, but this game, I think Minnesota is just going to be too much for them. The 17th rated power rated team, and they have the 4th hardest strength of schedule according to all the preseason composite ratings. If I had to pick the spread, I don't know. I think this would be a scratch. I think Minnesota is going to win by a touchdown, and it's going to be a push. So I think Minnesota is ultimately going to win the game, though. Number 3, game day this week. Number 21, North Carolina against South Carolina. UNC is a 2.5 point favorite. This game is neutral site at Bank of America in Charlotte. Both teams, you want a quarterback matchup. This is the quarterback matchup. I guess, one of the quarterback matchups, I think, for the first month of the season. Drake May, who is definitely a preseason Heisman candidate and will most definitely be a top 5 pick in next year's draft, if not a top 3. UNC is returning a good offense and obviously, a subpar defense. And I think they have a pretty good chance at going back to the ACC championship game. Although Florida State and Clemson are obviously the 2 favorites, and they have a good chance, I think, of winning this game, this first game. But on the other hand, South Carolina obviously has Spencer Rattler coming back, and for the second half of his last season, Oklahoma, through the first half of last year, he looked like an absolute bust coming out. Being the quarterback, he just wasn't performing well. And then I don't know what it was. The last 4 to 5 games, South Carolina season last year, he just turned it on, and he looked like a legitimate, starter, like a guy that could be a starter in the NFL next season. And South Carolina is a very, very hot pick, a dark horse team to make some noise and get some upsets this year. And I think surprisingly, their over/under for wins this year was 6.5. Vegas put their win total at 6.5. I'm like, I gotta choose the over. They have a 5-star recruit coming in. They have a really good recruiting class. Their coaches staff has been really well. They played Georgia and Tennessee, but I don't know. I just see this team performing really well this year. And if I had to pick one, I would take South Carolina plus 2.5 to cover that spread and start off the season, on a high note in Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. Number 2, Thursday night game, number 14 Utah against Florida. Now another game that I'm surprised that the spread is this close. I know Vegas knows a lot more than we do when it comes to point spreads, but 6.5 just seems really close, especially for Utah. These two played last year, and Utah lost with like 14 seconds left in the game. They had a pick at the goal line. That was on the road. Utah should have won that game. I mean, they're right there, and could have gotten maybe to had an outside chance if they would have started off the season better, looking at the CFP, but started off 0-1 last year. I think Utah is going to be out for revenge this year against Florida. Florida is not going in the right direction. I don't know how they're preseason rated, power rated 24th. They finished 6-7 last year. I don't know. I would definitely take Utah, definitely straight up. And in the spread, I think I would take them as well in this touchdown game. I just think they have everything, including the quarterback coming back for Utah, and they might legit win the Pac-12 3 years in a row. But we'll just have to see, guys. I think Utah covers the spread and wins Week 1 against Florida in Salt Lake City. The number 1 game of the week, though, I mean, it's one of the biggest games of the entire year. And as you see there with that matchup rating, 95.5, which is out of 100, I marked this with a CFP playoff stamp, making this one of the key matchups of the entire season, not just Week 1, and the entire season that could have serious playoff implications. Number 8, Florida State against number 5, LSU, neutral site. I think it's in Mercedes-Benz. Week 1, LSU is a 2.5-point favorite. Both teams got to 10 wins last year. Both teams are power rated inside the top 20. Both teams have a decent strength of schedule. Both teams have their quarterbacks returning. So I think this is a Sunday night game for Labor Day weekend. This is going to be a monster game. And I think LSU, they somehow lost this game last year in a missed extra point. Didn't start off the season well, and then, had that terror against Alabama, and they made their way all the way to the SEC championship game. And I think they're going to have a good chance at going back to it this year. But this top 10 matchup, I think, is going to be a barn burner. It's going to be one of the best games of the season. Ultimately, if I had to choose a team to win this point spread to cover, I would take LSU in the points. I think LSU has enough returning talent. I think Florida State, how good they could be this season, I think they're a little bit too overhyped in the preseason. Number 8, again, I look at the power ratings a lot. Top 15, top 20 team, definitely. Top 10, I wouldn't know if I would put them that far yet. I mean, they got to play Clemson still in the regular season, and if they get past them then, they would probably most likely have to play them again in the ACC championship game. So we'll just have to see what happens. I do believe LSU is the better team. They just have more talent, more depth, but I think they have a better coach, obviously. And I just think they're ultimately going to start off the season with a win and cover this 2.5-point spread. So that's the video, guys. What are your thoughts? Do you think there's going to be major upsets in Week 1? If so, who it is? Let me know in the comments. Who do you think is going to be the most surprising team come out of Week 1? Do you think it's an unranked team, or do you think it's going to be a top 10 team, whether good or bad? Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, guys, at thesportsnerd92. Please, again, hit that like button below, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell for all future videos when we do this every single week throughout the college football season. See you next week, guys.